In the quiet town of Marrow Creek, life moved slow until one strange night changed everything. A silent infection began spreading, turning neighbors into something unrecognizable. Roads were blocked, calls went unanswered, and fear took over faster than the virus itself. This is the story of the last town before the outbreak, where survival, secrets, and silence became deadlier than the disease. The small town of Marrow Creek was the kind of place where nothing ever happened. Nestled between low green hills and forgotten farmlands, it had one gas station, a grocery store that closed at dusk, and a main street that stayed empty after dark. Life there moved slowly, peacefully, until the birds began to fall from the sky. At first, no one thought much of it. Children whispered about poisoned air and government tests, but adults dismissed it as superstition. The truth, however, was far darker than anyone could have imagined. Beneath the surface of the town, something was stirring, an ancient pathogen trapped for decades in the frozen soil. When a construction crew began digging near the old riverbed, they unearthed more than rock and dirt. The first worker to fall ill was ignored, fever, they said. But when his skin turned pale gray and his breath carried the stench of decay, fear settled into Marrow Creek like a thick fog. By the third night, the power flickered across the town. People locked their doors, dogs barked endlessly, and a low, unnatural moan echoed from the outskirts. In the pale light of dawn, the sheriff found the crew's excavation site abandoned, the earth ripped open and slick with something that shimmered faintly in the morning sun. The hospital, unprepared and understaffed, filled with the sick. Some were delirious, others had already stopped breathing. Yet their bodies twitched long after the doctors pronounced them dead. The mortician refused to work that night, whispering of corpses that opened their eyes when no one was watching. As the sun set behind the hills, the town descended into a dreadful calm. Radios crackled with static. A curfew was announced, but few believed it would help. Something had awakened in Marrow Creek, something ancient and hungry. And by morning, the first scream broke the silence. By nightfall, Marrow Creek no longer resembled the peaceful town it once was. The streetlights flickered weakly, their light swallowed by the thick fog that rolled in from the forest. The air was heavy with the scent of rot and the once familiar sounds of the countryside, crickets, wind, distant laughter, were gone. All that remained was silence, and the faint shuffle of something moving where it shouldn't be. The power grid failed just after 9 p.m. Darkness swallowed every home and every street, leaving only the moon's pale glow to reveal what lurked outside. Families huddled together, clutching flashlights and praying for dawn. But as the hours stretched on, strange sounds echoed through the night, knocks on doors that no one dared to answer, dragging footsteps across asphalt, and a low, collective moan that seemed to come from every direction at once. Sheriff Harris tried to keep order, driving through town with the last working patrol car. His headlights caught glimpses of figures staggering through the streets, not alive, but not entirely dead. Their eyes were white and vacant, their movements jerky, guided by some primal hunger. He radioed for help, but all he got in return was static. The outside world had gone silent, as if Marrow Creek had been erased from every map. The infection spread faster than anyone could track. Those bitten rose again within minutes, their bodies driven by instinct alone. The town's few survivors took shelter in the church on the hill, barricading the doors with pews and wooden planks. Inside, candlelight flickered across frightened faces, teachers, farmers, children, all breathing the same stale air, all wondering who would be next. Outside, the undead swarmed. They clawed at the church walls, their nails scraping like metal against stone. One by one, the survivors' candles went out, leaving only the dim glow of the stained glass windows. The town bell tolled once, a haunting sound that echoed across the valley, and then silence returned. By midnight, Marrow Creek was gone. Its streets lay still beneath a veil of fog, its buildings dark and hollow. Only the distant sound of feeding broke the quiet. And somewhere deep within the forest, something older than the plague stirred, something watching, waiting for the infection to spread beyond the hills. By dawn, the fog over Marrow Creek had thickened into a gray ocean that swallowed everything. The sun struggled to break through, painting only dim streaks of light across the ruined town. The air was still, yet heavy with an invisible tension, the kind that comes before the world realizes it has changed forever. From a small radio tower on the outskirts, one signal still pulsed faintly. Inside the control room, Evelyn Ward, the town's only radio operator, sat surrounded by silence. Her once steady hands now trembled as she adjusted the dials, trying to send one last message to anyone who might be listening. The town below was lost. She had seen it from the tower window, the main street crawling with infected, their slow, staggering bodies moving in eerie unison. Her voice cracked through the static. "This is Marrow Creek Station. If you can hear this, don't come here. The infection is not a rumor. It's spreading. It's not human anymore." Outside, movement caught her eye. A lone figure was approaching the tower, limping. For a moment, she dared to hope maybe it was Sheriff Harris. But as the figure drew closer, the light revealed the truth. His uniform was torn, his skin gray, his eyes hollow and milky white. He wasn't coming to be rescued. He was drawn by her voice. Evelyn locked the door and kept broadcasting, her voice shaking but determined. "If anyone receives this, burn everything that moves. Don't let them touch you. Don't." The sound of fists pounding against metal cut her off. The door bent under the weight of the infected pressing against it. The glass shattered and cold morning air filled the room. The recording equipment kept running. Even after Evelyn's microphone fell silent, the signal carried on, static merging with faint, distorted sounds of chaos. Hours later, a technician at a distant emergency station picked it up. He listened closely, replaying it again and again. In the background, beneath the noise, he swore he could hear something new. Not human, not infected. Something deeper, like a low-frequency hum, rhythmic, pulsing, almost intelligent. The file was immediately flagged and encrypted. The technician was told to delete it. Within minutes, the broadcast was gone from all channels, erased as if it never existed. But a copy survived. A single cassette left behind in a dust-covered radio tower, marked with one word scratched into its surface. Warning. And deep beneath the earth, beyond Marrow Creek's forgotten streets, the hum continued, steady and alive, as if the outbreak was only the beginning of something far greater.